your flesh and blood.
Welcome to Tell Me Your Story, new paradigms for a new world where we're giving you choices and knowledge of those choices to help make your dreams come true. We are here 9 times a week, Sundays at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m., Monday mornings at 1 a.m., Wednesdays at 9 a.m., and Monday through Friday from 8 to 9 a.m., streaming live at all those times at richarddugan.com. We are on SoundCloud, iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Spotify, Stitcher, Player FM, as well as YouTube, where you can watch these conversations. I hope that you will take time to subscribe and click notifications so that when a new conversation is posted, you'll be notified and you'll be able to tune in, listen in, and learn, be entertained and inspired. A reminder that Choices, which is my book, 5 Steps for Life, it's available on Amazon.com in paperback, hardcover, and Kindle with Audible, soon to be released. We also ask that if you can support the work that we are doing financially, we do have a PayPal account. It is there for your security as well as ours. And when they ask for an email address to whom you're sending, please go to richard@richarddugan.com. That's the email address. If you go to richarddugan.com, there is also a link directly to PayPal so that you can send us whatever support you can. And we thank you to those who have helped and to those who will help. We also ask that you take time during this decade of perfect vision, the 2020s, to go within to that quiet, peaceful, calm, still place and listen to that still, small voice. And with that, we now take you to our very special interview and guest here on Tell Me Your Story. And welcome to Tell Me Your Story, New Paradigms for a New World. I am Reverend Dr. D. Richard Dugan, and to quote an advertisement, this is not the title of my guest's book, but it kind of plays into it. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? How about now? Can you hear me now? So we're going to talk with our very special guest, Leslie Lee, and the last name is Sanders, Leslie Lee Sanders, and the book is entitled, question mark in this one, ready to listen? Okay, are you ready to listen? There is no R at the front, but nonetheless, Ready to Listen is the title of her book. Leslie, first of all, welcome to our program. My father's name was also Leslie, my late father, and so it's joy to have you on the program to talk about this subject, which, as a child growing up, we were certainly prompted regularly to listen. Thanks for being here.
Exactly. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Well, I'll tell you, you are from my old stomping grounds, at least in the metropolitan area, the general area, Mesa, Arizona. I'm a native Phoenician, and I was also born legally blind. I now can see to drive. I had a lens implant. And I used to tell this joke that I was born a native Phoenician. I was born blind, legally blind, and so that makes me, what do you think? A Phoenician blind. Yes, indeedy. Just roll me up into the ceiling there. I'm curious as to, first of all, is the book, because it would be great to listen, is the book available in Audible yet?
Yes, it is. It's available on Audible audiobook. It's available as a hardback, paperback, and everywhere books are sold.
Everywhere books are sold. And so we'll be able to literally listen to the book. Did you narrate, or did they have a narrator do it for you?
No, I had a narrator. Her name is Janine London, and I picked her because she had the exact tone that I wanted. The performance was brilliant, and she brought the emotion that I needed for the story.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So.
All right. And she brought the emotion for the story you're telling in your book. Tell us about the story as well as your story in regards to Ready to Listen. And we say that a lot to our kids, not so much to adults who probably need to listen maybe more sometimes than the kids do.
All right.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, Ready to Listen. It's a spiritual self-help memoir. I wrote it mainly to have a lot of people that feel unheard, dismissed, silence, to feel more empowered to speak up, to be themselves authentically. And I wrote this in the end of, well, it began in the end of 2024 when there was a lot going on in America around that time. I realized that a lot of Black women are silenced. I feel like a lot of us are dismissed, a lot of our stories go unheard, and a lot of the time, I believe we kind of get dismissed from important situations. For example, what happened during the end of 2024, it let me know that a lot of people in America would rather choose someone to represent them that wasn't necessarily qualified, in my opinion, as the Black woman was. Qualified, probably overqualified, and had the great speaking skills, had good charisma, had everything that I see is something to admire, yet a lot of people didn't believe in that. A lot of people didn't want to hear that. A lot of people dismissed that. And that's what prompted me to write Ready to Listen, because I realized a lot of us are in that position, and it was time to speak up. It was time.
Well, it's interesting that you focus, at least in our conversation here, on the issues regarding, the conversation regarding Black women, because the first two people that came to my mind, the first two women that came to my mind, were Shirley Chisholm back in what was it, the late '60s, early '70s, I think it was, and then the closest equivalent today. And I have to tell you, I like this woman. I like her energy. I like the way she talks. She doesn't mince any words. And you probably know who I'm thinking of in Congress. Jasmine Crockett. Now, there's a woman who, Black or white or what have you, she doesn't mince words. She doesn't mess around. She, in my opinion, that's just my observation, she tells it like it is. Right. And she's not afraid to do so, which in some circles might get you in a lot of trouble,
Yeah.
Now, let's talk a little bit about this, because there's one area here, especially when you talk about a spiritual self-help book. We promote on this program encouraging people to take some time during this decade of perfect vision, the 2020s, to go within to that quiet, peaceful, calm, still place and listen to that still, small voice. It seems to me that the focal point, to some degree, of your book, Ready to Listen, has to do with, are you ready to listen, so to speak, some might say, to yourself, okay, the gut feeling, what have you. I call it my friend. And my friend has never led me astray. Challenged me, but never, ever has it put me in harm's way. And I promote it in that context. Talk to us about your relationship internally in that regard, as far as your listening to God, the divine, still, however you want to phrase it.
Yeah. So what I call it is intuition. And like you said, there's a lot of ways you could look at that. I call it intuition. And I feel like since I grew up with Christianity, I call what I feel is guiding me my angels, even though I'm not particularly religious. But this stems from my childhood, when I wasn't aware of my history as a Black woman, but I knew for some reason that I was already put in a box to perform, to have a mask placed over me, to be a certain person, to kind of show myself to the world in a certain way. And that included being silent, being quiet. Don't speak until you're spoken to. Raise your hand if you have something to say. Don't talk back to adults. Don't talk back in general. It was kind of instilled in me to stay quiet, And I kind of tuned into the thing that would listen to me, and I listened to it, and that was my intuition. And that kind of steered me where I needed to go. it steered me in a way that made me feel like I could do anything. I could accomplish anything. I could come from poverty to where I'm at now, a prolific writer, an author, someone who found many successes. And I feel that we all have this intuition that could lead us down the path that we're meant to go, and where we could kind of find our goals and our successes and our fulfillment as well if we just listen. And now the title, Ready to Listen, is kind of twofold. You hit on it. The first one is, are you ready to listen to your inner self, your inner wisdom, the insight that is kind of in there, buried deep, or even in the signs and symbolisms around you that are giving you messages and wisdom? But the other part of that is knowing that I'm a Black woman and that a lot of the times we are silenced and not believed and not felt like that we're not capable. I'm ready to speak up and let my voice be heard. So are you ready to listen to me finally? You know, that's also the meaning of the title. Like, are you ready to give your attention to what could actually help you manifest or create the life you want to live? Pretty much. Simple as that.
And that is part of what we want to talk about too, because we discuss regularly on this program the whole issue surrounding finding one's life's purpose. That profound, if you will, proverbial question of, why am I here? You know,
Right.
what the heck am I doing here? I mean, and it's a challenge for some people who do not realize that, and it's unfortunate that it is unconscious, they're living their life's purpose. I know someone who has been in the medical field for decades, has patient focus. That's her focus, is on the patients. She doesn't care about the doctors or the policies. Now, that's not to say she breaks the rules, don't get me wrong, but she is patient focused. And then continually asks the question, I don't know why I'm here. What's my life's purpose? And I have shared with her on a regular basis, because she has shared with me some of the names of some of the very elite individuals that she has taken care of, all the way up to presidents. Okay? She used to work for the Mayo Clinic years ago. And I said, well, let's put it this way. You have, let's just say, a businessman who comes into the clinic. And this is in the cardiology department, by the way. She's not a cardiologist, but she's an MA and a tech and then some. Probably knows more than the cardiologists. And he comes in there as a businessman. He's got a meeting coming up after this appointment, and he is not a happy camper. He's just, almost fit to be tied. He's not being cranky, but, she can tell he's not having a good morning. And so she does what she can to sort of get him to relax a little bit. We're going to do a little stress test. We're going to take your EKG. We're going to do this, that, and the other thing. And because of the way that she is, she gets him to relax. She gets him to calm down. She gets him to focus on other things. And then by the time he's ready to leave, his demeanor is almost 180 degrees turned. He was going to go into that meeting and he was going to breathe fire. And now he's going into that meeting and he's calmed down and he's going in with a clear head. He's coming more from his intellect and not his emotions. And things turn out totally different for him. The people at that meeting, who knows, maybe he was going to fire a bunch of people because that's how upset he was. And this time he's maybe a little reprimand, but hey, let's work on doing a little better today, okay? Let's see what we can do. She has now changed the energy of that individual. Actually, I shouldn't say she's done that. She's influenced him to change his energy, his what have you. And who knows what happens down the road for him and the other people that he works with. Maybe when he goes home, his family, his wife and kids and so forth. And now you have that ripple effect. I said,
Exactly.
that's what you do. That's your life's purpose. It may not seem illustrious. I mean, I've even had the comment about, well, yeah, but you have yours. You've got that program. You've got the Tell Me Your Story, the radio station. You found your life's purpose. You love what you do, and on and on and on. And it's like, do you find yourself, Leslie, meeting with people who their life's purpose is right in front of them and they just don't see it? And I'm hoping maybe that you're then able to maybe get them to change their perspective to where, oh, the aha moment.
Right. A lot of the times, yes, a lot of people have this question, what is my life purpose? But a lot of the times they think of it as an occupation, and that's not necessarily your purpose. That's just something you do to fulfill your purpose. So your purpose, I would think your friend, her purpose is as a nurturer or a healer, right? But she uses her medical assistant and all her abilities and skills to kind of get that out there, to make it help humanity in a way. And so, yes, there's a lot of people wondering what their purpose are. Even me, I there was a time where I wondered, why am I here? But the more I connect with my intuition, the more I connect with spirituality, the more I connect with something that's not just physical, I understand that our purpose, we're already living it. It's to live. It's to live and to learn. Most of the time, even if it's not an occupation or a certain task or a certain thing that you're connected to, as long as you're learning something and growing and inspiring others around you or giving them a chance to view you as someone who can make it or do it or whatever, that is your purpose. And when you embrace that, when you understand that you're here, the job is to live, the job is to learn and to grow, then I think a lot of the times you could let up on yourself for not feeling like you're fulfilling it. For instance, I talk about my idea of Earth being an Earth school. Now, I feel like as spirits, we've chosen to come here in human form. We, as spirits, have a mission to learn, to grow, and to create. That's what we are. But as a human, we come to the Earth School, which is one of the hardest schools because of its polarities, because of its, the good and the bad, and the light and the dark, and the opposites. We come here to try to create a balance where we all could live in harmony and learn from either the experience of the good side or the bad side. We choose however we want to show up in our human form. And as we live our lives and as we go through situations, we may repeat certain patterns, we may repeat certain lessons until we learn it. And if you ever had a moment where you went down a certain path, and yet it seems familiar because it's like, I've been here before, I've done this before, but you never got to where you wanted to go during that path before. This is your chance to kind of relive it, go through it, and prove that you learned something the first time you went down this path. Now, it could be a negative experience. Say you had a breakup with, a loved one. If you are going down the similar steps, the similar situations, it's up to you as a human, a spirit in human form, to learn the lesson of that, what that is trying to teach you. And that way you grow, you evolve, and by the time you are at the end of your human life, you've learned something that your spirit needed to learn, wanted to learn. And by the time you go back into spirit form, now you have more enlightenment, more knowledge, and more ability to create, because that's what we are. We're creators. So, and I don't mean in the reproductive sense, I mean actually creating with our words, with our thoughts, with our mind. I mean, this book, it was in spiritual form as in a thought. It was not even tangible yet. It was just in my mind as an idea. And this idea, the purpose behind me bringing it was so important that I told myself I need to bring it into physical form. And that's what I did. I have the book. It's, it's a physical object that I'm able to share with others to inspire, encourage, and empower. That is my purpose. You know what I mean? I'm a writer. I'm a storyteller. That's my occupation. That's what I enjoy to do. But my purpose is to make sure others feel empowered and inspired and know that they have this ability to do whatever they want in their life, including changing the world. And I know it sounds very, big and over the top, like, yeah, we all want to be superheroes, but no, it's as simple as like understanding how to love one another, how to unify, how to come together and make change that's positive from our society, in our nation, with our country, with our government, or even the world. Like I said, that's our purpose. So
You've tapped into a number of things that we talk about on a regular basis on this program. And I want to talk about another element that is referenced specifically on your website, but I'm sure in your book as well. And that is, and we'll talk about that as we continue. We're talking with L.L. Sanders, Leslie Lee Sanders, and her book, Ready to Listen? Here on Tell Me Your Story. I'm ready to listen. How about you? We're listening right now to L.L. Sanders, or Leslie Lee Sanders, and it's a pleasure to have her on the program. A couple things I wanted to bring up. As a woman of faith, now I myself, born and raised Roman Catholic, I had an experience with my first wife to experience the Byzantine Rite, or the Eastern Rite of the Catholic Church, still under the Pope, ladies and gentlemen. And it was a wonderful experience, but I consider myself more of a metaphysician because I've studied so many of the other philosophies around the world through time. But one of the things that has struck me, and we've been talking about our life's purpose. In a general sense, I have found that our life's purpose is very much epitomized by the words, the quotes attributed to Jesus or Yeshua, who, when asked by the disciples to show them how he did his magic tricks of turning water into wine, raising the dead, healing the sick, etc., etc., he says, "Oh, yeah, sure, no problem. I'll show you how to do all of that stuff. But let me tell you," and of course I paraphrase here, I'm not King Jimmy, nor would I want to be. He says, that stuff, that's kid stuff compared to the miracles that you are going to perform. And I believe, and you're part of this, one of the main purposes in our lives, the miracle that he was talking about with his disciples, was to transform our lives. That's, to me, the greatest miracle that he was here to teach us, to transform our lives. I mean, it is said that the kingdom of God is within us, and that in this case, the Christian faith, I got into a lot of trouble when I said this. The Christian faith is a metaphysical philosophy, to which they said, how dare you? I said, do you even know what the word is? Which, of course, they didn't. And the word translated or defined is beyond the physical. And most everything that Yeshua spoke of, that is attributed to him, spoke of the non-tangible, or as you quoted, you stated, spiritual. It's not something we can actually see. And you and I both have this belief, and I love something else that was attributed to Yeshua, that blessed are those who see and believe, but blessed are those who do not see, and yet they believe. And you and I are of that faith that I don't know I put it this way. I'm an agnostic metaphysician. I don't know. I believe. I'll share that with you if you want, but I don't know if there's an afterlife. I believe there is one because it doesn't make a lot of sense to me, Leslie, that we go through all we go through in this life, living this life, and then there's nothing. Now, if there is nothing, we're not going to know, right?
Right.
But what if there is something after this that may or may not be, and I don't want to be disrespectful here or blasphemous by any means, but it seems to me sitting and worshiping at the feet of the Creator for all of eternity, I don't know if that, I give you an hour.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll give you 24, but for all of eternity doesn't make any sense. And many of the other ancient wisdom teachings, as I call it, and I still refer to the Bible in that context, tell us that there's a lot more to this life, this eternal life. I mean, isn't that true that we are immortal? Because
I
we're
believe
spirit.
so.
Yeah.
Right. I believe so. And I believe I just want to be clear. I want to make sure everyone understands that I don't really subscribe to any particular religion.
Mm-hmm.
I don't call myself religious at all.
Mm-hmm.
I call myself spiritual because, like you said, I don't have proof that I can show others and say, see, this is a spirit,
Mm-hmm.
but I do have that belief in that knowing.
Mm-hmm.
And spirit in a way has shown me to prove to me that it's a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
But also the way I think of a lot of, how do I say this? The way I think of the teachings, as you said, you said metaphysical. I look at it from a writer or storyteller standpoint as metaphorical. I think a lot of the teachings in the Bible and so on are meant to teach you a lesson that we're supposed to learn as we grow, but in a metaphorical sense. So in other words, you can put meaning in the symbolisms and, in the symbols and the signs and the things that you see in the Bible or in religious texts, and make it your own, interpret it your way, but understand that it means something, just like dreams, just like signs and symbols in the universe around us. Like, for instance, a butterfly. A butterfly is symbolic of transformation or change. So that's a way to look at a situation in your life when you're trying to figure out, should I make this move? Should I make this change? Should I leave this job? And then you see a butterfly. That's kind of like the sign of the universe telling you, maybe you should consider that transition, Mm-hmm. So that's the same as how I think of a lot of religious teachings. There's a message there for you, but you got to look at it more generally instead of specifically.
Yeah.
But I do feel like there's something more
Mm-hmm.
with us. We're humans. We have this ability to feel, to have empathy, to have compassion and sympathy for others. We have this ability to, plan, to figure out what we might want to do in the future and plan our days or our time presently for that. So in other words, I think something about us is more special than the animals and the plants around us on Earth. And I feel that connection has to do with spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Spirit is, we're like, I use this metaphor. We're like the fingers on a hand.
Mm-hmm.
The fingers are us individually, just like we have individual fingerprints, we are individual beings. However, the hand is one. We're all connected. We're all unified. We all come from the same thing because that hand is connected to source. And source could be God. Mm-hmm. It could be the universe. It could be your angels, whatever created us or is conscious enough to allow us to come into this, the form as a human to learn. We're all part of that. We're one. So God is in us. We are God. We have the ability that God has. So with looking at the metaphorical sense of us being connected to God, I feel like that is what it's saying. Like metaphorically, we are God. We don't have to go to a building to pray. We don't have to go to connect. We don't even have to pray to connect with spirit. It's all in us. That's what I want to emphasize in this book. It's, are you ready to listen to the signs around you, the bigger acknowledgement of consciousness that is trying to help us? Because we have guides. When we were spirit, just like to bring back the metaphor of Earth School, these guides are like our teachers. The guides are like our mentors. They were with us when we planned our life on Earth. They were with us when we said, I want to learn this. I want to learn that. I want to learn about compassion. I want to learn about apathy. I want to learn about empathy. I want to learn, and we have what we need to grow. We have the course laid out, or the blueprint.
Yeah.
Their job is, once we come into human form as a human, we forget, obviously, as a baby, we're born into this world. We can't remember everything because that will go against our purpose of learning, of figuring things out, of growing. So they are there with us from birth till death, guiding us. And the way they guide us is through their spiritual capabilities. Remember, we're different. We're on different planes or different realms or frequencies, or I don't know any other word to say. Like, say we're on different universes. They're like 5D, and yet we're 3D. So they have to communicate with us in a way that we can understand it in our 3D world.
Right.
They can't do, instead of saying what they can't do, let me say what they can do. What they do is send us signs like that butterfly, or give us information or insight through the music we're listening to. Especially if we like go into, we're getting ready for work, we get in the car and the song of our past loved one, the favorite song, shows up on the radio. These things are more than just coincidences. These are the signs that the universe is working with us to try to steer us where we need to go, And once we connect with that and listen to that, we can make anything we want happen. Anything. And I'm just a walking, living, breathing testament to that, because every wish I wanted, every wish I made, it came true. And I want others to know that they have that capability too.
Absolutely. Leslie Lee Sanders is my guest here on the program. Her book, Ready to Listen? Yes, there's a question mark, and that's how I want to put that forward, is our guest here on the program, Leslie Lee Sanders, and llsanders.com's the website, and we want you to stay tuned because we've got a whole lot more coming your way here on Tell Me Your Story. The book is Ready to Listen, and we are, absolutely, and she is into other things as well. Very prolific. I was just looking at your books page on your website, which is llsanders.com. Wow. Now, are most of those books fiction?
Yes, almost all of them are fiction. The only one that isn't is Ready to Listen. This is my first time writing nonfiction because I felt called to do so.
Well, I want to ask you about something that I read on your website. Not a lot of people would probably want to talk too much about this, but in the context of what's up there on your website, I think it's kind of cool the way you phrased it. So I'm going to put it this way in the question: can you talk to us a little bit about the beast?
Yes, so
I love it. I love it.
Right. I live with a husband, 3 daughters, and a beast called my imagination. This is important to me because, like I said, I am a storyteller. Since I was a child, I talk about in the book how my mom kind of put into me being a storyteller. She would tell me these scary stories that I would just love to listen to. And at the time, I knew they were made up. I knew it weren't real. It wasn't real, but I still love the idea of whatever was transpiring. I could see it in my mind. My imagination made it real. And then I was on a journey, and I was experiencing a life and experiences that my imagination helped me connect with. And so obviously that kind of stirred something in me, which I do believe is deeply my purpose anyway, which is the reason why I came here, was to write, because I was doing it since I was 11 years old. And since man, I have my whole life I've been writing short stories that I would illustrate. I wasn't the best illustrator, but I still imagine my name on a book cover, so I would just draw the book cover.
Yeah.
And I think it's important for me to allow my imagination to help me express myself. Because like I said, the title of the book is twofold. Ready to Listen also talks about, are you ready to listen to me? Like, are you ready to finally listen to the girl that you wanted to stay quiet for so long, to just sit still and look pretty, and, just don't be in the way. Don't stay small. Don't try to do too much. Don't try to be in the spotlight. Don't try to, those kind of things. That was kind of what was instilled in me. And so my only outlet to speak and to feel and to express was through writing. And so, it's definitely a beast, because it allowed me to write over 30, I think close to 40 books now. I can't keep track because it's so much. But mostly all fiction, and mostly things from my heart, things that I needed to express, topics, themes, issues that, I needed to get out of me and share with others. So.
Well, I'll tell you, we all have that beast within us. The question is, are we willing to let the beast out, to be the creative soul that we are? Not that we can be, we already are. It's the question of getting past all of the stuff that we have been, shall we say, given as we've grown up.
Yes.
That has gotten in the way. I have been drawing for quite a number of years. I mean, going back into my teens and early 20s, and also journaling. Talk to us a little bit about how important the aspect of journaling is, of being able, because I struggle with this, even when I journal, even today, with that little voice in the back that says, this is not the still small voice. This is the little voice in the back that's going, yeah, you may not want to say that because somebody may get a hold of this and read that, and, and so forth and so on. And yet we need to, and I've felt this for the longest time, and it's not that I've verbalized all of it on this program, but certainly a lot of it, our own personal peccadillos, if you will. I think of some of the politicians down through my own personal history that I have seen who got caught with their hand in the cookie jar. We'll leave it at that. And then there are those who, they got caught with their hand in the cookie jar, and they said, yeah, I'm guilty. I'm sorry. I've shamed my family, myself, etc. I own it. It's mine. I'm sorry. And guess what happens? It goes away. Nobody talks about it. It's those who say, I didn't do it. No, it wasn't me. It was somebody that looked like me. And it doesn't go away. The one person I think of, the one politician, and it's not just politicians, it's certainly all of us, but those in the limelight. But the one that comes to my mind that owned it and took action was Al Franken. Now, he didn't say, well, that was her perception. I still own it, but, I am so sorry that she perceived my actions as. No, He didn't say it that way. He said, I am sorry, that I may have hurt her, injured her in that respect, emotionally, what have you. I own it. And he stepped down from the office. He said, yeah, I'm guilty. Okay. And yet there are others who this is brought to the forefront, and they just will not acknowledge. I mean, we even had a California congressman who was called out, and he stepped down, but he hasn't partially. He said, yes, okay, I'm sorry, I made a mistake over here, but not over here. And it's like, just own it.
Right.
Okay. But let's talk a little bit about, because I was talking about journaling and being honest in one's own private journal. And I have 5 or 6 or 7 of these blank books that are filled, that I started writing when I was 21. Okay. I haven't kept it up. I mean, probably in the last 20 years, I probably has not kept it up, but I go back and I read some of this stuff going, really? And that's where I was,
Yeah.
Talk to us about the importance of not only the journaling, but also the being honest in that regard. Don't think about who might read it. Think about letting go of that stuff.
Exactly. I think a lot of what we're hitting on right now is authenticity. And that's like a big thing I talk about in the book as well, because it's important. If you're writing in a journal with, by yourself, this is the journal that only you're going to read or have access to, but yet you feel like you still can't be honest, that I think there's some work that needs to be done there. And that is kind of what the universe is steering you to, especially if you look at what you wrote in your 20s and then you see growth out of that. You see where you were at the time, but where you are now, and how different your mindset has changed, or how the experiences you have that are different because of what you learned in your 20s, But if you can't be honest, that is when self-reflection is very important. And journaling is self-reflection. So if there's no way that you have the courage to just put the truth on the paper that only you're going to see, then I think there's a lot that needs to be worked on. And that's what happened with me. I mean, I call them my bath time channeling sessions, because when I'm taking care of myself, when I'm in a state of, where all the anxiety is gone and I'm relaxed and I could be with myself, with my thoughts, this is when a lot of self-reflection comes up. I ask myself questions that need to be answered honestly. And sometimes I'll find myself trying to sugarcoat it, or trying to think of what other people will think if I admitted that or said that, and that comes from fear. That comes from fear of, removing a mask and other people seeing your true self. There's fear there that you hold in your heart because of what other people put on you, what other people told you were supposed to be, or what you were supposed to represent, or what you're supposed to sound like, or what you're supposed to. It's always something society, your parents, your friends, your congregation, your whatever it is, school, whatever. It's always put on us, and we put that mask on like, yeah, I am this person. Yeah, I am supposed to think this way. Yeah, this is the right thing to do because everyone around me says it is. When we get to a point where we're ready to strip off the mask and be real with ourselves, then we could live with authenticity. And that is when you can really tune in to the universe, or your intuition, or your inner knowing, whatever word you have for it. It's all the same thing. You can really tune in and have that moment of growth, real growth. And not just growth like, how we say, like, we go online and we put inspirational quotes and, and we share that. No, it's more when you're able to go online and be real, just say what you're really trying to say, and don't feel like you have to filter it through other people first. And that's also the thing with self-reflection and journaling and trying to answer the questions that you have honestly. I'll give an example real quick. Say you have a toxic relationship, but you really love this person. You really want this to work out. So during those bath time sessions, when I'm alone, when I'm with my thoughts, when I'm able to concentrate on me and my feelings and tune in, I'm able to ask questions like, okay, so what's going on here? Do you really love this person? The question is yes. Why do you love this person? Well, because they make me feel good. Is it because of how you feel, or do you have, is it a relationship thing where your both feelings are involved, or is it just for you? Well, maybe it is for me. Maybe it is a little selfish. Now that I wouldn't say out loud, because we have this fear of being judged. Like, how can you be selfish? But at least I'm saying it to myself and being honest, because now I know I'm being selfish in this relationship and it's toxic. So what are you going to do about it? It's all about you now. So, and then you go through those answers and questions and keep digging and go further and deeper and get to the root of the issue, where then now you can actually make positive change, whatever it is you need to make, So yeah, it's important. It's important to strip off the mask. And I know I'm not, because I could see through the mask of people. And there's a lot of people like me who can see that too. You're probably one of them too, where you could kind of look at someone and tell what they really wanted to say or how they really feel, but they're covering it.
Yeah.
And it's not my job to remove your mask, but it is my job to acknowledge it and know what I'm going to do with that information. And hopefully this book will inspire other people to look at the mask they're wearing. Oh, I'm the doctor, I'm the mother, I'm the good friend, I'm the, whatever mask you're wearing, and see, is that really you? Do you really want to show up that way? Do other people who communicate with you or in your environment, do they see you? Is that why you're doing it? Ask those questions and figure it out, and then that's when you can go to remove those masks and just show up authentically. And that is the beginning of creating a life you want to live,
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We're talking with Leslie Lee Sanders. llsanders.com's the website. The book is Ready to Listen. And this is Tell Me Your Story. I'm Reverend Dr. D, and she is Leslie Lee Sanders. And I wanted to ask you, I've got so many questions that are coming in. The universe, by the way, asks the questions. I'm just along for the ride, okay? But you are also a person who utilizes other modalities to help other folks to maybe get more in touch with that inner voice. One of them is on YouTube, and it is you give tarot readings. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
And it's under Simply, SIMPLEE, Tarot. Simply Tarot at youtube.com. And we certainly encourage you folks to go there. Tell us a little bit about how that came about.
Well, being the storyteller that I am, I connect a lot with signs, with symbols, with metaphors, with allegory. And so even with dreams, I interpret my own dreams to kind of help with the healing process. So it kind of came natural that I looked at tarot cards and I saw what they were saying, what they were meaning, the images on the cards, the colors, the placements, all that is a message. And so I got into this in 2017, where I would watch other tarot readers on YouTube. And, I'm just reading the cards along with them. And I got to the point where I'm like, well, I already know what these cards mean. Why can't I just use this information and the guidance that I have, the insight that I have, to kind of inspire and empower others? And so I created the channel. And it's been wonderful because my whole thing is about connecting on a intuitive or spiritual level, because I think this is a place, this is a means or a modality that we kind of dismiss a lot, but it's around us, it's here, it's with us.
Mhm.
And I think if we tune into that, we could be so much more capable of doing, so we could move mountains, you know?
Mhm.
And that was my idea behind Simply Tarot, giving intuitive advice to empower your life. Yeah.
That's kind of cool. Now, you I'm familiar with them. I have my own set of cards. Matter of fact, I have several sets of cards.
Right. You can see this behind me, right? That's all my cards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a set of clear cards
Ooh,
that
me too.
that have it's like shall we call it black ink on a clear sheet of plastic for each of the cards, which is really kind of cool in a way. You know, I like that. It's a very interesting way of reading, if you will. I find that just so fascinating that someone's come up with that creativity. My wife has a set of cards that are the backside, if you will, is of a crow. All right. And that's kind of neat. And matter of fact, there was a set of cards in our moving when we were moving from where we were in Santa Barbara here to Twin Peaks. They became misplaced. And we're still looking, by the way. We're still looking for our tray of silverware. Okay. We have since purchased another set of an eight-person set of silverware, the same pattern. But somewhere along the way, I know that the silverware is going to turn up somewhere. I mean, we I know we packed it. Come on, it's got to be here somewhere. In any event, and so she has this favorite set, and then I have one that I bought years ago that I still hold on to, that I still have, and it's interesting how we have sort of latched on, if you will, to some of these forms and these modalities, if you will, that we've used over the years, and yet we also have within us sort of that innate, intuitive aspect. How do you help people to connect with that innate element within themselves that's always been there?
Right.
And that they really want to get back in touch with.
Right.
How do you help
That's
them?
the key.
Yeah.
The key is that you want to, if you're dismissive, if you're skeptic, if you don't want to go there, then you won't, But for those who find this is helpful, I would say with tarot, the whole point for me with tarot is it's just a way to have your intuition amplified. The cards aren't telling the story. It's your intuition. It's what you pick up on the card. It's what the card makes you feel. It's what the card is saying to you. You have to interpret that, And so, yeah, so I'm trying to think of like a way to get people to acknowledge that, their intuition is guiding them. I think the best way to do so is to just look at what you think is a coincidence and see the meaning behind it. Now, coincidences exist, but so does synchronicity. Synchronicity is when there's meaning behind something. So I could say the fact that your wife has crow tarot cards is a coincidence because I have a crow buddy that helps me out with my intuition. It's an actual crow that will come to my backyard and I'll feed it and everything. I kind of like made him or her into my little wild pet.
Mm-hmm.
But I could also see the meaning behind what you said as synchronicity. The fact that she lost those cards and are looking for those cards. What does that say to me and my crow buddy, my spirit animal? Because I haven't been connecting with that crow lately. I haven't been feeding him, and so it to me the meaning is there. It says something to me. It may not be significant for you, but it's significant for me. So when it's meaningful for me, that's all I need to know, that there's a message behind it, And that's the same with intuition. If you want to connect with guides, with angels, with source spirit, you have to not only be open to the signs and the symbols and the synchronicities around you, but do the work. You have to do the work to know when that message is meant for you. I have I don't know how to say what it is, but I get information through the TV sometimes. And I know it sounds weird. It's like, okay, your TV's talking to you. No, it's more like if I have a question or if something is bothering me, I'm trying to figure out how to, a good solution to that problem. And then on the TV, something will come up where they're like, just go out and do it because you have that ability, and it gives you this push that like, that's what I needed to hear. So it's things like that where you have to be in tune with what's going on around you, how you feel. Your feelings are connected to your intuition. Emotion isn't important. That's how you get a lot of insight as well. And and be willing to actually listen. Take time for solitude, for silence, for getting rid of all the distractions, and just listen. Just listen.
Yeah. That is a hard thing to do as well, due to the fact that we are inundated on a regular basis, and we actually do it to ourselves. We inundate ourselves with all of these different distractions, especially when it comes to our screens. That's probably a good term to use. It's the screens that we seem to want to focus on instead of. Right. The inner voice. And I myself, I've come to, I put it this way, that there are no coincidence. There are coincidences, things that happen for a reason. And there have been a few programs, movies maybe, and even a television program with Kiefer Sutherland. I'll have to look this up to get the name of the program itself. And it was on some time ago, where he was the, I think it was his son in the program, this curly-headed kid who didn't talk, but he still could communicate with the character Kiefer was playing. And the program started out like in the first 15, 20 minutes. They would show you like 3 or 4 different, we'll call them storylines. I was going to say timelines, but storylines that seemed so innocuous, so independent of one another. And then as the program progressed in that hour, the storylines would converge. And you would see how one now impacts the other. And then the third one comes in, and then the fourth one comes in. And there's that synchronicity, if you will. Mm-hmm. Well, our lives are the same way. And there are times when, for example, my wife and I, when we moved to Santa Barbara, we were there for almost 20 years. And she wanted to move after, say, 5 or 6 years. And I said, well, you have to understand that the universe made a way for us to move to Santa Barbara in the first place. Everything was in alignment, and boom, next thing you know, we're in your hometown, living there. Well, the universe has to make a way for us, and eventually it did. And it was, honestly, it was quite miraculous. And then the next thing you know, we're buying a house and moving into this house in Twin Peaks. One of our big desires is, of course, to move to Ireland. Well, where the heck is that? Where are the events that are supposed to make that happen? Well, I was listening to some information that was given to both my wife and I when we were still in Phoenix, and we were meeting. I think it was once a month on a Thursday evening at this one woman's house. Her name was Joni Skavinsky, and we knew her well. I've actually had her on this program back in the early days, back in 2007, 2008, 2009. But I'm listening to a tape that we made of a gathering that we went to at her home, where you'd pay like, I don't know, $10 or $15 per person, and you got to ask a question, but initially a message would be sent. And I'm listening to this audio tape that I transferred to the computer, and basically, on the one hand, it said, oh, by the way, we're moving to Santa Barbara near the ocean, which is where I've always wanted to be. I says, well, it's about time kind of thing. And of course, we're asking about Ireland. And it said, there are several steps that have to be taken first. And this might be one of them, moving to Twin Peaks, where we buy a house, we have equity, and so on and so forth. I mean, I don't know what the steps are. All I know is we're closer than we were before, because now we have, shall we say, we have an asset that we might be able to tap into, to be able to, I don't know. I mean, first of all, God forbid that we have to move everything that we put into this house to Ireland. But maybe we can make some trips there and make the necessary connections, contacts.
The actions,
yeah, exactly. Who knows? And maybe there's another element to this too. Maybe this isn't the lifetime for us to be there. But that doesn't mean we can't go there and visit and so forth. I mean, we've been there twice. The equivalent, 2 trips, the equivalent of a month stay. We fell in love with the place. Now, I know right now, as you and I are speaking, and I don't know if you're familiar with this, they're going through their own turmoil. The citizens are, due to the almost doubling. I mean, we think we got it rough here in this country with gasoline prices and filling up the tank. It's doubled there from what it was. And they pay by the liter, not by the gallon. And my heart goes out to these people. It's like, why is this happening? Why are these people? But the thing about it is that the Irish in particular, because I've seen some things on this, very resilient. They have been, over the centuries, over the lifetime of that island and its people and the civilization, they've prevailed over and over. And the Norse tried to circumvent their citizenship, shall we say, or their, to enslave them. The British have done the same thing, and that is starting to fall apart as well. But the Irish citizens and their tenacity, that's a good word, I think, their tenacity to say, no, this is not, there's a wonderful song that said, basically, there's a line in there that says that we will not bend the knee. We would rather die than bend the knee to someone who wants to subjugate us. So it's really very interesting, the processes that we go through as individuals, and some of the karmic, sometimes karmic, and sometimes it's the heritage that we come from in various lifetimes. Do you go into much of that in your work in terms of maybe not necessarily ancestry.com or, whatever it is, DNA 123, in terms of helping people to understand who they are as human beings? It's different than what you are as a spiritual being. To help them to understand why their lives are the way that they are, why they have the character that they have. Sometimes it is in their DNA.
Sometimes it is, but a lot of that is when I said it's up to you to figure out what you need. Mm-hmm. That's the part. Like, I could tell you how to listen. I could tell you how to, do that self-reflection, how to be open and mindful of the inside around you. But it's up to you, because we're the fingers. Remember, we're the fingers on the hand. We're individuals. We have our own lives. We come here with our own purpose, and we have our own things to learn and to get through and to grow from. Mm-hmm. And so I think if you want whatever you want in life, you can get it. If you feel like it's meant for you, you can get it. So let's use the analogy of you going to Ireland. If you wanted that, all you have to do was take action towards getting that. And what I mean by that is, because how do you know what steps to take or how to start or where to begin? Well, look at it like timelines. We all have every single thing we ever wanted to accomplish. It happened already. It's paved in stone somewhere. Mm-hmm. There's a blueprint for it. So there's different timelines or dimensions or universes mm-hmm. where each of those things that we want happen. What we have to do is align ourselves to the timeline where what we want is accomplished. So in the timeline where you are in Ireland, what steps did that person take to get there? So you kind of deconstruct it or reverse engineer it to see where you need to go. And then you come all the way back from where that accomplishment or that goal or that achievement was. You come all the way to where you are on that timeline. And now you know the next step to take, because that person probably visited the country several times. You already done that. That person would probably look at locations that they would want to stay, do the research, that sort of thing. Yeah. Like, it's up to us to take the action, to do the work. We can't always just sit around and expect the universe to open up the doors for us, like they'll lead you down the path to get there, but it's up to you to get there. I talk about the tree of life. In my interpretation of the tree of life is the tree is made up of different parts. There's the trunk, the branches, and at the top of the tree is our goal. That's where the fruit is, the fruits of our labor, right? The best fruit, the biggest fruit, the sweetest fruit is at the top. Mm-hmm. We're starting at the base by the roots. You have the ability to go any direction you want to go to get mm-hmm. to that fruit through whatever branch you want. That's our free will. That's our, whatever we decide, the choices we make will lead us down one branch or another. And sometimes we could hop to another branch, mm-hmm. or sometimes a branch will lead into to another branch, Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The thing is, you're making the decision, you're making the choices, you're doing the work to get to those branches, to get to the top, to get the fruit, to get your goal. So if you look at life that way, instead of like having your angels or your guides like have you on a leash and pulling you along, that's not how it works. It's more like, I'll show you this path. Do you want to go down this path? Okay, let's get, because they know where we want it to go. We wrote the blueprint. Remember, we know, but we forget as humans. So they're there to remind us and to be like, okay, well, this branch, try that one. And if we listen, we'll usually get the branch, the strongest branch that will get us to the biggest fruit that we want, Mm-hmm. Simple as that. I know I keep saying simple as that because it does sound simple to me when I break it down in that way, but it's not that simple. It still requires work. It still requires time and effort and energy. Mm-hmm. But if you really want something, if you're determined to do that, then nothing will stop you. Mm-hmm. And that's the same with events in our country. You said in Ireland that they're going through their own turmoil, but they're resilient and they have tenacity and they're mm-hmm. able to, push through it. We could do the same. If we're unhappy with our country and how it's being led and where it's going and the people that are, suffering, and if we're unhappy, it's up to us to make that change. We're not supposed to sit back and wish for universal interference or intervene.
Intervention.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We are human because we have the ability to live the life we want to live, be it good, bad, or in between.
Yeah.
So if we all understand that and get together and do what needs to be done, actually take the action, make it the work, we could do kind of like the Irish and get things back where we feel comfortable in our
Yeah.
own country,
Yeah.
you know?
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. It's it's a situation where for us, when it was June 2025, we were told you got to move. So instead of saying we want to find a place to rent or we want to find a place to buy, we said, universe, we need a place to live. But we kept walking, we kept moving the feet forward,
Mhm.
and it ended up instead of renting, we own. And well, yeah, okay. So the bank and we share ownership right now. That's fine. My belief is that it doesn't matter where you live, even if you're living on the streets. Okay, you pay wherever you lay your head to rest at night. You pay. And unfortunately, for some folks who are laying their head on the street, yeah, they pay too, but they pay in their way. And the universe has made a way for us, and we went through. We walked through. It was not easy, but I thought of something the other day that really has helped. Love your perspective on this before we wrap things up here. Let's just say, for me, I have a list of 10 things that I need to deal with. All right. Whether it's I got to do the taxes. Oh, and I got to find a dentist for my wife. And I got to do this and do that. And there are 10 items on this list, to-do list. All right. I go through the list. I take on one of them. Doesn't matter which one. And I handle it. I go through and I deal with it and it's done. It doesn't mean that now I only have 9. Because the universe is going to fill that 10th slot with something. It could be major, it could be minor, but there will always be those 10 things that need to be dealt with. And that's just the way that this life is in the material world. There will
Exactly.
always be 10 things. It's what you do and how you do it that makes the difference in terms of, again, as you talked about, taking that action. And at
Exactly.
the same time, the universe, through your action, is making a way for you to get to the bigger thing that you want.
Hmm.
Don't give up.
Exactly.
I didn't. I mean, would we have liked to have moved straight from Santa Barbara to Ireland? That would have been nice.
Right.
But I have to tell you that when we started packing in June, okay, even though we had no place to go, we didn't know where we were going. Uh, the stuff kept coming. It was like, wait a minute, where's all this stuff coming from that we keep packing? And that was what was so weird. And then of course we found this little place up here at Lake Arrowhead. It was a small little place, under 1,000 square feet. It was 2 stories. Well, after we moved into our new home, I looked at all of the stuff that was in the living room. I mean, it looked like a disheveled Costco warehouse. Okay. And I thought about that little green house that had this wonderful plaque called it said the cottage. Oh, that's perfect. That would have been great. But then when I started looking at the square footage and I started looking at all the stuff we had, I'm going, where would we have put that all? I, you know, and so we were placed in the right, we were put in the right place at the right time
Hmm.
to create this space. And now we actually have a space where if we had someone who was coming over or someone who needed a place to stay for a little while, we have the room.
Yep.
Okay. We have an extra bedroom. We even have a loft that we can convert. Okay. Um, and so forth and so on. So for me, it has been a process of being open to whatever the universe places before us, but at the same time, doing the work that is also set before us in terms
Exactly.
of, okay, so where's this going to lead? This should be an interesting adventure. And that's really kind of what it is all about.
And a
It's,
lot of the times you can't think that if something doesn't work out that it wasn't meant to be. Sometimes that could be a blessing in disguise,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Just like the cottage, like you realize later, like, okay, maybe that wouldn't have worked, you know? And so that's a way of being led too, you know?
Absolutely. Leslie Lee Sanders, my guest. LL Sanders. I like that. It almost sounds like a legal firm or a PR firm. LL Sanders. Call now. LLSanders.com is the website. And Ready to Listen? That's the title of her latest book. And we hope you'll get a copy and go to her website as well as we continue here on Tell Me Your Story. I'm Reverend Dr. D. She is Leslie Lee Sanders. And Leslie, I want to thank you so much for sharing your story with us and the information that you have. I encourage people to go to two places. We'll be linked to llsanders.com, which is your full-fledged website. But also maybe go to website, go to youtube.com/@ Simply LLE, it's two E's at the end of that, Tarot, Tarot, not tarot, and find out more about the work that she does and maybe connect with her to get a reading. I know that I would love to do that as well for myself, my wife, and we hope that you'll do that, folks. And thank you so much for being here on the program to help us to do what we're doing, to do what you mentioned at the front end of this program. We, when I was a kid growing up, they said, no, you don't want to do that because it's too big. No, I want to change the world. I want to change the world. It's not that it's a horrible, awful, icky place. No, it's that there's always room for improvement, no matter how good. I mean, I don't know if you've ever done this. You bought a brand new house, okay? And it's perfect. You go in there, oh, this is great. This is fantastic. And then you're there for 6 months and go, you know what? I want to do this and I want to do that. There's nothing wrong with the house. It's just there's always room for improvement. And that's for us too, as individuals, as souls. There's always room for improvement. Thank you for helping us to see that here on the program.
Thank you for having me. I had so much fun.
Oh, I'm glad.
Thank you for finally listening. Someone to finally listen.
Oh, you're more than welcome. I do have 3 final questions I want to ask you, but before I do, I want to thank you for listening to and watching Tell Me Your Story, New Paradigms for a New World, where we're giving you choices and knowledge of those choices to help make your dreams come true. We're here on Sundays at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m., Monday mornings at 1 a.m., Wednesdays at 9 a.m., and Monday through Friday from 8 to 9 a.m., streaming live at all those times at richarddugan.com. We're also podcasting on SoundCloud, iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Spotify, Stitcher, Player FM, Blueberry, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music. We're on YouTube and Rumble, where you can watch these conversations, and we hope that you will subscribe as well as click notification. And we also hope that you'll get a copy of my book, Choices, 5 Steps for Life. It's available on Amazon. If you go to richarddugan.com, there's a link that takes you right to Amazon, where you can get a hardcover, paperback, or Kindle version of the book. Our Audible version, we're still looking for the right outlet. I'd love to use Amazon, but they've made it kind of complicated. I'll figure it out eventually. I'm that kind of a guy. I'll figure out there's always a workaround. But please get a copy of Choices. We also hope that you'll take time to send us some support financially. We have a tip jar, I like to call it. It's PayPal. And all you have to do is put in my email address, richard@richarddugan.com, and send what you can. We thank those of you who have helped and those who will help. Thank you, thank you, thank you for supporting us. We'll take energetic support as well. And finally, we hope that you'll take the time during this decade of perfect vision, the 2020s, to go within to that quiet, peaceful, calm, still place and listen to that still, small voice. Follow the promptings as well. It will never put you in harm's way, but it will challenge you from time to time. It has, my friend has challenged me throughout my life, and I'm grateful for the challenges. With all of that being said, we now move to our final 3 questions for a very special guest. The first of those is, who is Leslie Lee Sanders?
That's a good question. I would describe myself as a storyteller, a nurturer, a healer, and someone who's come here for the sole purpose of inspiring others to take positive action. I enjoy the simple things, so I wouldn't call myself like minimalist, but I just like simple things that I enjoy, like nature, and I love deep conversations, obviously. Like I love to go deep into the weird, the mystical, the metaphysical, the supernatural, and paranormal, and spiritual, all of that. So yeah, I think that's who I am.
What gets you up in the morning?
I don't want to get up in the morning. I mean, I have what gets me going. Honestly, knowing that I'm able to make change. Like there's something about knowing that nothing can stop you. Like it almost feels like superhuman, but you're grounded enough to know that you're not a superhero. So you just have all this inspiration and all this passion and drive to like create and do something with your time, something positive. And that's kind of what, that's what gets me up, gets me going.
And finally, what was your best day?
Great questions. One of my best days, because there's many, like the birth of my children and my marriage and all that. But one of my best days that I think a lot of people could take something from is when I first published my first book independently, because it's always been a dream of mine to see my name on the cover of a book that was filled with words that came from me and was my way of expressing. And so the first time I had that book in hand, I literally took it out the box and kissed it, and I never wanted to forget that moment, So that's one of the best days.
Yeah, I remember when I opened my book, and I opened it up. A video I actually have up on YouTube. And it was, I wasn't, I look at it sometimes going, "Oh, you weren't that excited." And I said, well, I was kind of tired because of the stuff going on around me, but it was still very exciting to hold in my hands. And I will never forget the one review I did receive that somehow I've got to figure out how to post it. It's my mother. She texted me. She says, I tried. And apparently they don't let relatives post reviews, but be that as it may. She said, first of all, congratulations. Be grateful that even though you may or may not make a ton of money on this book, that you finally published it. And then the part that I really love was she said, I learned things about you I always wanted to know. And of course, that spurred me on to say, okay, I need to call my mom a little more often and chat with her. So it is a lot of fun. And again, thank you so much for being a part of the work we're doing here to do just that. Yes. Change the world. We're going to make this a better place for everyone. And everybody's got a different definition of what is better. We know that. But to give people the knowledge that they can choose to make their lives better. And listening to that still small voice is so important, and following the promptings as well. And we also want to thank you for listening to and watching Tell Me Your Story. And until our next broadcast, podcast, videocast, love Talal. Jeanette, I'm still listening. Dad, continue to be happy because I am. Smokey, I'll see you on the other side. Mike, thanks for being in my life and letting me be in yours. And to my dear friend Zorro, aho, aho.